Hello, welcome to the Happy Families podcast. Here's a question for parents of daughters, and it's one that parents of daughters don't usually ask themselves. Have you talked to your daughter about pornography? We warn our boys, or at least I hope we do, but many parents assume that their girls don't need the talk, and that assumption is leaving them exposed. Before we move on, today's podcast contains content that will be sensitive for some listeners. We do encourage you as a parent to be mindful of who's listening and why. My guest today is Kristen Jenson, the founder of Defend Young Minds and the author of the best-selling Good Pictures, Bad Pictures book series. They're read-aloud books that have sold hundreds of thousands of copies worldwide in 10 languages. I'm a little bit jealous of those stats, I might add. Helping families to have the hard conversation before the internet has it for them. Kristen Jenson is the executive producer of the Brain Defense Digital Safety Curriculum. She's testified before the Washington State Senate on the public health crisis of pornography, and she's even raised a voice at international forums, including the United Nations Civil Societies Conference. Kristen has a brand new book. It's called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures Guide for Girls. It took 2 years to write and test with families and get it published. It's built specifically for girls aged 7 to 12. And it exists because for decades we've been treating pornography as a boys-only problem, and the research says quite plainly that it isn't. Kristen's a mum of 3. She's a grandmother as well, and one of the most practical, hope-filled voices in a conversation that can all too often turn turgid and scary way too fast. So, no scare tactics today, no shame, just a plan. Kristen Jenson next to talk about girls and pornography on the Happy Families podcast. Stay with us.
I think we are more shame-based when it comes to girls. We think they're goodness and they're like angels. And I feel like we need to be able to have these conversations so that girls have a fighting chance.
Hello and welcome to the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day. This is Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. My name's Dr. Justin Coulson, and today a conversation that I feel is urgent. I've just written a book about boys called Boys Building Strong Young Men from the Inside Out, and talked a lot about pornography and the scourge that it is in our young boys' lives, but it's affecting girls as well, not just because boys are using it and it's affecting their beliefs and therefore their behaviours in their, I was going to say intimate experiences with girls, but intimate might not be the right word there, but you know what I mean. Girls, though, are also accessing pornography at levels that we perhaps haven't known about as clearly as we do now. And Kristen joins me today to talk about that issue and also her brand new book on the topic. Kristen, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Justin. It's great to be here with you.
Let's kick straight into it. You've said that you used to treat this, or people generally have usually treated pornography as a boys only problem. But women have been telling their stories now for some time. Did your mind change on this? And if so, why do you think that the girls aren't interested myth has survived so long when the data says that such a high percentage of girls have seen pornography?
Well, I think there's just this cultural myth that women aren't interested in sex. I mean, or at least they shouldn't be until they get to a certain age. And that's just a myth. Both boys and girls are interested. And when we ignore girls, when we leave them out of the conversation, then their curiosity almost feels like they're ashamed of it. Like, I shouldn't be curious about this, right? This shouldn't be something I'm interested in. But they are. And if we just acknowledge the truth of that, because they're normal, biological human beings, then we can help them and they will not be as vulnerable when we just completely, like I said, leave them out of the conversation, assuming that they're born with some kind of immunity to being intrigued, being vulnerable to this kind of material.
It's one of those things, isn't it? I've always encouraged parents to get curious, not furious, to lean in with curiosity and understanding rather than furiosity and reprimanding. I don't know if furiosity is a word, but I like the sound of it. I was doing a little bit of research ahead of our conversation today, and the Common Sense Media organization did a report a little while ago called Teens and Pornography. They found that more than a third, about 36% of girls reported intentionally consuming pornography, compared with 52% of boys. It's not a massive discrepancy there. 70% of girls and 75% of boys said that they'd watched online pornography with an average starting age of 12. What stats do you have around this? How would you tweak what they've found in their report? And can we talk specifically about girls? I mean, you've written this book for girls for a reason. I want to talk more about that in just a sec, but what stats do you think should be keeping parents awake here?
Well, those stats are very troubling, and 36% intentionally going to porn. How many other girls are seeing it unintentionally? I think that's quite a lot. There was a study by Barna here in the United States that showed that 44% of women seek out pornography on a regular basis. So the gap between men and women and their use of pornography is really shortening and closing. So we do need to take it seriously, and we can. We can help our girls just like we help our boys.
I want to ask about girls specifically. Why do girls need their own book? What's different about how pornography lands for a girl in terms of, I don't know, body image, sexual experience, identity, self-objectification? I'm sort of grasping here, but why is it different for a girl than it is for a boy?
Well, first of all, I was asked for this book. I had many, especially mothers, come to me and say, I need a book for my daughter, and I just need to have like pictures of girls in it, and it needs to be so that it feels like it's okay for girls to talk about this with girls. And we have a whole chapter on objectification, and we are teaching girls what it means to not only objectify others, but to be objectified and to objectify yourself. And we teach them that is what these bad pictures, that's what pornography does to girls. It creates this, it teaches them that they're objects to be used and commodified, which is an extension of what we see out in social media as well. So girls need to be able to recognize that so they can reject it, because it's very harmful to their self-esteem. And when you think of the things that are portrayed in pornography, it's very harmful to girls because there are studies that show that girls who look at pornography, they're just primed to accept sexual violence.
My youngest daughter is 12. The average age of first exposure is 12. And I think about this kid and I just think, no, just no. I think most parents, especially of girls, would think, yeah, not my kid. What would you say to the parent who's convinced that their daughter is the exception? And I would consider myself one of those parents.
I think that's a dangerous way to think.
Sure.
Because you're not preparing your child. So, for example, there's an 11-year-old girl. She was riding on a school bus. Her friend was sitting next to her. And this little girl, her mother had read her good pictures, bad pictures. So she was prepared. She had been given a simple age-appropriate definition so she could recognize it. She had been warned that it's harmful for her brain and for her her mind. And she had been given a plan of what to do when she sees it. So she was prepared. And so up comes this boy with a phone and starts showing them pornography on a school bus. In any case, she's sitting there with her friend and she turns away and she's like, nah, I'm not going to look at it. But guess what? Her friend continues to look at it because she hadn't been warned. She's curious. So in the end, who's more protected, right? It's the children that are not caught off guard. It's the children that have been warned and given a plan and really prepared with a disposition or an internal filter so that when they see it, they want to reject it. They're like, yeah, I've been told about this. I've been warned about this. And I know, like, I can list 5 different reasons why I shouldn't be looking at it, why it will be harmful to me.
Kristen, after the break, I want to talk to you about what we need to do, how we can help kids to develop that internal filter that you talk about and do it in a way that doesn't promote shame and fear, and how to have that conversation. I've also got a quick lightning round, couple of questions for you for a little bit of lightening of the conversation, because it's a pretty heavy topic. That's all coming up next. Stay with us. We're back. This is the Happy Families podcast. Kristen, I want to talk to you now about the internal filter that we want to help our children to develop. Your whole framework rests on the idea that there is not an external filter that catches everything, so kids need one installed on the inside. This is something that I talk about all the time. Like, you can fence your swimming pool, but you cannot fence the ocean. Once the kids have left the confines of your yard where the pool is fenced and they go to the beach or they go to a friend's house where maybe the fence is left open, the gate is left open, that kind of thing, they've got full access to everything. So walk us through what building an internal filter looks like. What does a 9-year-old with an internal filter do, or an 11-year-old, as you were sharing before on the school bus, when those bad pictures appear?
You want to give them a definition, a warning, and a plan. So a definition so they can recognize it, but you don't have to tell them too much, just enough so that they can recognize it, right? And then a warning so they understand why it's harmful to them. And a plan. We've got the can-do plan in these the Good Pictures, Bad Pictures Guide for Girls, as well as the original one. And so they know exactly what to do. So when they see it, they know what to do when that exposure happens. They know they need to turn away. They know they need to kind of identify it, and they need to go and tell a trusted adult. If we don't open that conversation, it's very unlikely that the child is going to come and tell us. They're going to think they're going to get in trouble,
Yep.
Or their friend will get in trouble, or you'll take their electronics away or whatever. So we have to open that conversation with our children and begin at a young age before, hopefully, ideally, before they get exposed to pornography. But even if we've waited, it's still better to get these conversations started because no child deserves to face the porn industry alone.
I think that 3-point process, it makes it feel doable, digestible.
Yeah.
So many parents, I'm sure, including me, just feel ill at the thought. But having a script, having a process to follow, and also giving the kids a script, I can see why it would work. Our time is up. As you know, this is a podcast for time-poor parents who just want answers now. And I'd love to wrap up with a lightning round. Very short answers, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, yeses and nos where you can. A little bit unfair as always, but that's what makes lightning rounds so much fun, even on a tough topic like this. My first question is this: should the first conversation happen even before a child gets an internet-connected device?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is accidental exposure more common than intentional seeking of explicit content for primary age kids?
Yes, I believe so.
Elementary age
absolutely.
kids.
Yep.
So it's more often going to be accidental. You've already answered this one. Can a filter or parental control app replace the conversation? I think that's an easy no. If your child tells you that they've seen pornography, the first move should be to take the device away. True or false?
No, I think that's false. I think you have to really think about it. The first move would be to come up with a plan with the other spouse, the other parent, and not just yank the device away.
Because you want to, but like I said before, get curious, not furious. Okay, is it ever too late to start these conversations? I'm sure that there are some parents who are listening right now who know that their 15-year-old or their 17-year-old is using pornography regularly.
It's never too late to give your kids a defense. It's never too late to educate them and persuade them. It may be too late to get the first impression, right? But it's never too late to begin educating them. That's what parents do.
Yeah.
And so to give them a defense and a protection, I think these conversations can be really interesting. And listen to your kids, especially if they're older. Listen to them and engage in a conversation, not just a lecture.
Okay, my last 2 questions before I give you the final word. Should schools be teaching this, or is it a parent-only job?
Well, I think parents should be first, for sure. But schools have a duty of care. If they have computers and devices and Chromebooks and such that they are issuing to kids, but they won't teach the kids about what is pornography, what do you do if you see it, what happens if, I believe they have a duty of care to
Totally
teach
agree.
about it.
Totally agree. I think it's astonishing that they say, well, we've put the firewalls in place, we put the security measures in place, and the kids can't get access to it. And then it just becomes a parent problem. I completely agree. Schools are complicit if children are accessing explicit content on screens. I've got a true or false question for you. And it's one that I've been thinking about a lot as I prepared for our conversation today. True or false? We as a society judge a curious girl more harshly than a curious boy.
Absolutely. I think so, for sure. There's so much more shame. And the girls that, look at pornography, they bear often a greater burden of harm from the fallout of pornography, not only with their relationships with boys, but also the damage to their self-esteem and their body image and all of these things. So girls, I do believe, get the worst of it. And that's why they need to be warned and have their conversations, their own conversations about it.
Yeah, more shame and therefore more secretive is what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Kristen, you're doing incredible work in this area, and I really hope that parents who have listened to this conversation will consider jumping online and grabbing a copy of your book, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures Guide for Girls. I presume it's available anywhere online that people would normally go to get their books.
Yeah, it's on. It's there in Australia on Amazon, and you can also get it from Focus on the Family.
Great stuff. Well, we'll link to it in the show notes so people can find it nice and quick, nice and easy. Grateful for your time. Thank you again for the work that you do and for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you so much. And I hope your audience will follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Defend Young Minds.
We'll link to that in the show notes as well. Kristen Jenson is the founder of Defend Young Minds and author of the best-selling Good Pictures, Bad Pictures series. For more information, check the show notes. Also, a big thank you to Justin Rulon, who produces the podcast, and Mim Hammonds, who provides admin and other support. Details on making your family happier other than the show notes and Defend Young Minds available at happyfamilies.com.au.